Good afternoon and welcome to the Van Hussein Steele Funeral Home Facebook and YouTube program. And today we are honored to have the Tuscaloosa Chief of Police as our guest, Chief Brent Blankley. Welcome to our Facebook, Chief.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, Chief, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been with the department for about 14 years. I graduated from the University of North Alabama in 2006 and joined the department after that. Worked in multiple divisions here at the department, patrol, crime prevention, public information officer, and I was a commander of municipal security before I became the chief of police.
Okay. Chief, we know that you're a very busy person, very busy man. And at this time, we want to ask you some questions coming from the community. We're going to key in on the west side of the Tuscaloosa, but we're actually speaking of the entire Tuscaloosa area. And we want to communicate with all persons, but in this case, we're talking about Blacks on the west side. What should we actually do, young people and old people, when we're stopped by the police, by Tuscaloosa police?
I think the big thing is, when you get pulled over, go ahead and roll your window down. And these steps don't change for African Americans or Caucasians. This is for everybody. Roll your window down. The officer's going to approach the vehicle. They're going to say something generally to, my name is Chief Blankley, Tuscaloosa Police Department. The reason why I pulled you over is, and they'll go ahead and state that reason why they pulled you over. They'll ask for your driver's license and your proof of insurance. Tell them if your insurance is in the glove box, say my insurance is in the glove box, and, reach the glove box to get that insurance. The big thing is just listen to the officer. A lot of people put their hands on the steering wheel. At nighttime, I know when I was a patrol officer, as a commander on midnight shift, a lot of people would go ahead and turn their light on inside their vehicle. Our objective is to have that interaction and either give that citation or a warning or a corrective action as quickly as possible. And our officers, they want to go home each and every night. So just comply with the officer and, be as friendly as you possibly can, and they will be as well. Just follow the directions, and that can conclude the traffic stop as quickly and as professionally as possible.
Okay, thank you for that advice. I know I've been stopped several times, but when that light go off and the siren go on, you automatically, your heart rate go up, whether you've done something wrong. So a lot of times I think people are nervous when they're stopped.
Yeah, and we get that. It's one of the things with our new officers and that kind of, we get them out, we tell them, hey, look, people are going to be nervous. Their hands might shake a little bit when they're holding their driver's license because, nobody likes to be stopped. But we try to be professional as possible here in Tuscaloosa and just try and, be as polite as possible. At the same time, we don't want to be on the side of the road any longer than anybody else. So if we ever seem like we're being rude, and that's not the case at all. We're just trying to get the traffic stop completed as quickly as possible for everybody's safety. Staying on the side of the road, a lot of officers get hit and killed doing that. So we never like to be on the road longer than we have to. But the big thing is just, comply with the officer. They're just doing their job, and we want to keep everybody safe as possible. So we do understand that people do get nervous, and we want to create the environment as best as possible to keep everybody safe.
Okay, with the recent incidents up in Minnesota and Louisville and in Atlanta here recently, can you comment on those incidents?
The George Floyd, I was like pretty much every other officer in the United States. When I watched that video, I was disgusted. I made a verbal statement on Facebook about that incident. I think what a lot of people don't realize is when incidents like that happen, it makes all of us in our profession look bad. We're here to help people. We're here to protect and serve. That's what we hear every day. But the men and women of the Tuscaloosa Police Department, if people knew how much they put into their job and how many hours they spend away from their families to protect the community, we miss Christmas, we miss birthdays to do our jobs, and we love our jobs. So people in our department, as well as myself, we were very upset when we saw that incident because it makes us look bad. And, we all did this job we don't do this job for the paycheck. We do it because we care about the community and want to help people. That's why we get into this profession. So we were, highly upset when we saw that. And we decided, as a community, we want to come together. We had a lot of people call us. We saw a lot of parents bring kids up to us and, say, you don't have to be afraid of them. We're fathers, we're mothers, we're aunts and uncles as well. We just want everybody to know that we don't condone that at all.
Okay. When is there an instance when you should not shoot? For example, let's take the case in Atlanta. And recently there was a case in Nashville where there was a suspect running, had his back to the police. He had a gun in his hand, but he was running with his back to the police. Police shot him and killed him. Well, they ended up convicting the police because the suspect did not point the gun at him. He was running and the police shot him in the back. So I guess my question is, when do you shoot and when not to shoot?
I'm not going to comment on any cases in other cities. I don't have all those facts. Police officers have to make a split-second decision every day. We want to go home at the end of our shift to our families. We don't ever want to pull a trigger if we don't have to. I hope the general public knows that, but I'm not going to comment on cases in other cities where I don't know all the cases behind or all the facts behind that. I'm responsible of me.
Okay. So in other words, you hold your police, the officers under you are you hold them accountable. And I guess my next question is, what are the requirements? What are the requirements to become a police officer?
To start out with, it's a long process. And if anybody's watching this show and would like to become a police officer, I will always use this for a recruiting tool. We need more officers. That's a profession not a lot of people want to get in today. But you have to take a written test, a physical test, then you have to pass a psychological background, a medical physical, and a polygraph. Once you go through that training, we'll get anywhere from 8 to 11 weeks of in-house training here at the Tuscaloosa Police Department before you go to the Law Enforcement Academy. You go 12 weeks to the Law Enforcement Academy, then you come back to us once you pass all of that, and you'll ride with a field training officer for about 4 months. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. During that time, you go through de-escalation training, use of force, law training. There's a lot of training, dealing with, mentally disturbed individuals. There's a lot of training that goes into a police officer. It's a lot to take in. But we also do training every year. The state standard, we go well beyond what the state standard is for training here at Tuscaloosa Police Department. We train probably as much as any, if not more, any department in the state. And we do have de-escalation training, not only by itself, but when we do taser training and different things. We always want to look for a less lethal option, and we always try to use that option. So we do a lot of training here. The officers have to go through a lot of training by themselves, and they do different phases. Some with a training officer, then when we feel like they go that last phase, that's when we determine if they can be a police officer or not. We have a high turnover rate. A lot of people they get this job and it's a different type of job and they can't handle it. And this job isn't for everybody, but I encourage people. I hear a lot that, wish we had more African-American officers. I agree. I would love for more to apply. We're going to do some stuff at Stillman College, trying to get people to apply there. I'm going to do a full-time recruiter here soon that once colleges and universities open up, that will go to all colleges in probably a 2 to 3 state area to try and get our recruitment up. It's just hard to get anybody to want to be in law enforcement these days.
Okay, what can the community, what can the Black community do to assist and make relationships better with the Tuscaloosa Police Department?
I've known the last 2 weeks, I've met with a lot of community leaders at different churches and different locations, somewhere in group settings, somewhere in one-on-one settings. And I think the biggest thing we can do now is we've got to rebuild the trust between the police department across the nation and the communities. We're here to protect and serve the communities. It's something we'll work on right now. I've come up with some ideas with the community of how we can interact in a good way. We're all human. There's no different except for my officers put on uniforms every day to go to work. I know one of my biggest pet peeves, and this is just a personal thing, is if you're walking through Walmart and you see an officer in uniform, you'll hear parents tell their kids sometimes, you better be good or they're going to take you away. That doesn't foster the relationship that I hope that we have with the community here in Tuscaloosa. I want people to know they can come to us when they need anything. And the bad thing is a lot of times when people do see the police, we're getting called to go to people's homes. We have a tough job. And people do see a lot of bags. We're having to arrest people, but we want the community to know that we're there for them. We want to make it a better place for everybody in Tuscaloosa.
Okay, how can we, how can you and the department balance peace versus protection? We know that we need the police department. Is there a balance there?
You do have to find that balance. We need the law and order. We need people to feel like they can sit on their porches and be safe no matter where you live in town. That's what we want. And unfortunately, with that part comes, comes where you do have to arrest people. I think we need more interaction with the community. I don't think anybody that works in the department will deny that. We need people to, come and we need to get out a little bit better in the community. And we need to, I guess, build both ways back and forth. I think the community needs to understand that we're there for them. We're not, building, and we're here to protect and serve and, bring young people in. A lot more in common than people think we do. But I think we've got a way you completely trust the police, and I think that's not going to happen. Conversations with each other, exceptions, and just kind of how we all work together. But I think we have to have open dialogue. So many times I'd be politically correct on both sides. I think that and say, hey, look, here are about the police, and in return, I can say, hey, here's the problems that we have with the PD. One of the greatest problems that we have with the police department is if we have a shooting or somebody gets stabbed and we know people saw it, nobody will tell us who did it. That's one of the most frustrating things on ours is, hey, if you have information, give it to us. We're trying to help, but a lot of people that give information in the community, they're frowned upon. So I think that's the information that we need to get out to the public, saying, look, we want to solve crimes, but we have to have that interaction going both ways. And I think we really have to have true dialogue, non-politically correct dialogue. And just be honest with each other and come together, to be one. And it's going to take some time to do that. That's not going to happen overnight. And I think we all realize that. But I think with recent events, we realize we need it more than ever.
Okay, Chief, I must admit, recently we've been having several protests and marches in the city here in Tuscaloosa. And a couple of Wednesdays ago, I had the opportunity to work with Captain Wayne Robinson and Lieutenant Jones. I've got Lieutenant Jones' first name, but they were very cooperative, and they assisted us in all of the marches that protests that were done here in Tuscaloosa were very peaceful. And I think part of it was due to the cooperation of the police department working along with the protesters. So I just wanted to commend those two officers and also you as being the head of the department.
Yes, sir. When we started having protests, we completely understand that people wanted to protest, and we, decided at that point, hey, let's block off the roads. Let's make it as a safe environment as possible. We really thank the public for keeping everything peaceful. I think when you do that peaceful protest, your words carry a lot further than if they get violent. And we appreciate the public for working with us on the protest and allowing us to be, part of that protest to keep everybody safe.
And a lot of people ask with with all that's going on and with your job, and I know it's almost 24/7, and you have a family. How do you make the balance? How do you keep going?
I think I'm still trying to figure that out. I took over. I think it's been around 90 days ago, and we had COVID come up pretty quick, and we never dealt with in the last a long time dealt with a pandemic, and then we had the death of George Floyd come up. There's been a lot going on, and you got to find the delicate balance. I work with a lot of good people at the police department. I work for a great mayor who has given me counsel along the way. And then the community. When we started attending a lot of community meetings in the last 2 weeks, there's been a lot of positive that's come out of that as well. People that are thankful for the police department. I think we all, agree that we need to, come to more common ground on things. But that kind of keeps you going, And I do have a family, and it does take away a lot from that. But I signed up for this job to make the community better, make our police department better, and I'm dedicated to that cause.
Okay, and as far as procedure, and if you can't answer this question, that's fine. Do you think that the choke hold procedure should be abolished? What's your opinion on that?
We don't use that here unless it's a last resort for the Tuscaloosa Police Department. I'm not a fan of the chokehold by any means, and like I said, it's something that we try not to do here unless we absolutely have to. But I think anytime we can go to any other options, our officers definitely want to try that. So it's something also we're looking at a lot of our procedures right now in the police department. We're currently looking for a diversity training class that we want to go through. So, it's instances like this that you do take a step back and you look at your policies and your procedures. And I think it's good to do that every once in a while and say, hey, look, where are we at? What can we do better? What haven't we done the best? And those are policies and procedures that we're currently looking at.
Okay, and I think I know the answer to this next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What's your opinion? Different cities are talking about reforming and defunding, rearranging the police department. What's your opinion on that?
I think that we've all got a job to do. I hope that the community knows that that they need the police department. I think we all do. I think that every department can look within itself sometimes and say, how can we do better? I don't think defunding is the answer. We're here to protect and serve, and we're here for the community. I think the majority of people in Tuscaloosa know that. So I don't understand that option. We will make Tuscaloosa a safer place. I do think that, yes, we can look at policies and procedures, but I hope the citizens know that we're here for them.
Okay, and I'm quite sure I interviewed the mayor last week, so I know he's supporting you, and a lot of the people on the west side are supporting you. And recently, I hope I'm using the right term, stops or stings. A lot of people feel that they are being targeted because of tinted windows and things like that. Can you comment on that?
Yes, sir, I can. During a public safety meeting, I mentioned that we were going to start enforcing the tent laws. This is something that's not new in the state of Alabama. I look out for the work as a car.
Right now, you're breaking up, Chief. I can't hear you. Okay. Yeah, I think we had a bad connection there, but we're going to move on, and we're about to wrap it up, Chief. What I think you answered this once before, but sometimes things can be difficult. And have you ever been in a position where you just gave up on the community or gave up on a certain situation as it relates to justice in the police department?
Sir, I look at it as an opportunity. If I can make that difference and our department makes that difference to change things, and like I said, the that we had here, they were peaceful. That's hey, please concerns. So giving up is not an option for me.
Okay.
I think we need.
And lastly, two-part question. What tone are you setting for the Tuscaloosa Police Department? And is there anything that we left out that you would like to tell the citizens of Tuscaloosa?
The tone is simple for Tuscaloosa Police Department. We're here for the community. That's what we all signed up for. That's what we're going to do. Our officers are going to do their jobs day in, day out. But our tone is we're one community, and we have to help the community that we serve. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to come on the show and, tell kind of, how the police department feels and operates about everything. We really want that interaction. I think in the future, you're going to hear more about that. But we want to, if anybody has any concerns, I'd love to meet with them and talk about any concerns they have. I think a lot of times you get a lot of misconceptions out there. And I think unless you meet and actually have the hard conversations, I think it keeps building rather than just saying, hey, can you talk to us about this? That's what I hope that a lot of people have been made aware of here recently is we're more than happy to sit down and talk about anything that we possibly can to help build relationships.
Okay, Chief, I see some information popping up. I think they didn't hear the response to the tent question. What's that statement again on the tenant windows?
Yeah. I had officers that said that there was a lot of 5% tint on the front windows, and that traffic stops, they couldn't see in the vehicles. So, I've made those traffic stops. It's an officer safety issue. The tent law is not new. I said that we'd be enforcing it. That created a outcry in the community, and that we didn't expect that kind of a response to it. I've heard that people said that we're going to, try and racially profile off that. That's not going to happen. Everybody in my department knows I don't stand for any kind of racial profile at all, and nobody that works in my department will work here if I find out that they're doing that. But it was done out of officer safety. As soon as I knew that it was an issue that blew up kind of how it did, I went ahead and said, Counselor Howard said, 30 days. I said, no, let's give 60 days so we can get all the misconceptions kind of out of there. I didn't want the people to be fearful of being over. I said we want to build community relationships. That tent laws because also see in the front window of the car, and it was so I think it's something that after talking to a lot of community leaders, I think it's more understood kind of why there's agencies all over the state of Alabama that enforce these laws. We don't do it right now because I said 60 days no tent tickets, but we were enforcing it at the time I made that statement. So it was nothing new. We're still writing those tickets, but I have to have tent meters to actually write those tickets, and we don't have a whole lot of them at the police department. Over the years, they broke and replaced them. So it's nothing new that we're doing. It's just a statement that was made. I think that caught a lot of people off guard. But I've had a lot of conversations, people reassuring that you're profiling. It's not a safety issue. It doesn't matter if you live, side river. We don't care. It's an all safety issue. I hate that it was taken here the intent. So it's something that if anybody wants to speak about, I'll be more than happy to speak about it.
Okay, Chief, we're about to wrap it up. Anything else you would like to say?
No, sir. Just other than we thank you for having this. If anybody else wants to have any community meetings, we'll be happy to attend and go over any topics you want to discuss. We're here for the public. I hope everybody knows that, and we're here to help. I hope we can work together in the upcoming months to build a stronger Tuscaloosa.
Okay, Chief of Tuscaloosa, Chief Brent Blankley, and we thank you and we thank everybody for tuning in on the Van Hoosen Steel Funeral Home Facebook and YouTube. And join us again next week. We have another guest. And thank you once again, Chief.
Thank you, sir.